Hello everybody, welcome to today's Ocean Wonders video where we're going to be learning all about rays. Let's get started. So what exactly is a ray? So rays, also known as stingrays, are a group of fish that are closely related to sharks. They're called elasmobranchs. And these fish have skeletons that are made up of cartilage instead of bone. There's another group called skates, which are closely related to rays as well, and we'll be kind of talking about both of those today. So rays have a really flat body, and it gives them a kind of a triangular kind of diamond or kite-like shape. So they've got really long wings spread out that join together at the top of the head. So what does a ray actually look like? So as I said, rays have flattened bodies, and this is so that they can hide under the sand at the bottom of the seabed. They have small little eyes on the dorsal or top side of them, so you can see where the eye is there. And then beside that, they have two large holes called spiracles. So you can see the spiracle hole there. And these are often mistaken for eyes, but they're actually used by the ray to breathe, just like gills. Now they have gills as well, but these are on the underside of their body, like on their belly. So they take in oxygen through the water, through their spiracles and their gills. The ray's mouth is also found on the underside, and most rays have a very long tail. And in many tropical species, this tail can have a venomous barb or sting on it. So where do rays live? So rays are found in all of the world's oceans. Most species of ray like to live on the seabed. Like I said, they hide under the sand and they can kind of sneak up on their prey. And some of them live in shallow seas where it's nice and warm, and some of them will swim deep into the deep sea, closer to the ocean floor. So manta rays, for example, these ones here on the bottom, they can travel through the open ocean. They're found in oceans all over the world, and we're going to be talking a little bit more about manta rays later on. So what do rays eat? So in general, rays like to eat things like shellfish. So they eat mussels like the ones that you can see here. They also eat things like crabs, clams, any of those things with a hard shell. They have heavy round teeth in a disc on the underside, and they use those teeth to prise open the shells of these animals and get at the meat on the inside. Manta rays are filter feeders, and they travel large distances feeding on plankton. So ray reproduction. Rays actually give birth to live young. The baby rays are very well developed, and they're little miniature versions of the adults. So rays reproduce very slowly, so it can take a long time for their population to recover if they're heavily fished, for example. Skates, which I mentioned earlier, who are closely related to rays, lay soft eggs. So they have their little baby ray inside of this egg case that looks like this on the bottom here. They're quite square egg cases, and they tie these onto seaweed or rocks, and that helps the egg case to stay safe if there's a lot of waves crashing around. And then once the little baby ray is fully developed, it'll hatch out of that egg case and swim away. So you might see egg cases like this washed up on the beach, and these are called mermaid's purses. So keep an eye out for them next time you're at the beach. If you see a long skinny one, it's probably the egg case of a small shark, like a dogfish. So let's have a look at a couple of different types of ray. So this is the lesser electric ray. So there's lots of different types of electric ray as well. Sometimes they're called torpedo rays. And electric rays are found in warm and temperate waters around the world. They have two special adapted organs at either side of their head, which is made out of kind of muscle, and they can use this to generate a strong electrical current. They can even generate a current up to 220 volts, which is about the same as a light bulb, which is really pretty amazing to be able to come up with an electrical force that strong just from your own body. So electric rays use this electrical power, I suppose, as a defensive mechanism to warn away any predators that might be trying to attack them. They can also use it to stun their prey and to communicate with each other and get an idea about their surroundings. So this is the manta ray. So this is the largest species of ray in the entire ocean. Manta rays can have a wingspan of up to 9 meters. So that's the distance from wingtip to wingtip. It's pretty impressive. They swim long distances out in the open ocean and they filter feed on plankton and krill. So those are kind of small little shrimp-like animals. Mantas reproduce very slowly, with females giving birth to a single pup every couple of years. And it can take 12 or 13 months for the pup to fully develop inside the female before it's ready to be born. So manta rays make sure to take care of themselves, and they often visit coral reefs so that they can be cleaned by little reef fish. And by cleaned, I mean that the small fish come along and they eat any little parasites or lice that might be living on the manta ray's skin. So this helps to keep the ray healthy and comfortable as well. Manta rays are thought to be the most intelligent fish species in the world. They have very complicated hunting techniques and a very large brain to body ratio. Manta rays can live to be 50 years or maybe even a lot more. So really they're very impressive animals with long lifespans, and they're ones that we should really try to protect. And here's a surprise. Manta rays and some other species of ray often will jump into the air out of the water. They can jump up quite high and nobody's really sure why they do this. It's quite a sight to see. So unfortunately, like a lot of our ocean species, rays are threatened. So ray populations have declined by over 70% in the last 50 years. That's really a large amount. And some of the main threats to rays are overfishing, for example. This is when we're catching too many rays and they can't replace their population fast enough. And we might be catching rays because we want to eat them or sell them, but often rays are caught as bycatch when fishing vessels go out and they're trying to catch a specific kind of fish, for example, maybe a tuna fish, but other animals are caught in the nets as well, even though they're not going to be eaten or they're not going to be sold. So bycatch is a big problem in the fishing industry that can impact lots of marine species. Other threats to rays are habitat loss. So this might be due to pollution, like plastic pollution, for example, or it could be due to coral bleaching, which is caused by climate change. So this is when coral reefs turn white and they're not able to produce food for themselves and survive anymore because the seawater temperature is too warm. So we can all take action for climate change, which will have benefits for so many sea creatures and for life on land all over the planet. Dredging is also a problem that affects ray populations. So this is when ships basically scrape along the seabed if they're trying to catch bottom-dwelling fish or shellfish that live on the seabed. But unfortunately, this really damages the seafloor habitat for a long, long time. As I mentioned earlier on, rays reproduce very slowly. So if their population is impacted, it can take them a long time to build it back up again. But as we'll see on the next slide, there are things that we can do to help ray populations. So some ways that we can help rays. Well, first off, choose not to eat ray. If you see it for sale in a fish and chip shop, don't buy it. And if you are having fish to eat, make sure that it's been sustainably caught. The second thing you can do is you can write to your TD, your local politician or your MEP and campaign for more marine protected areas around the Irish coast. These are large areas which have reduced fishing and reduced shipping in order to help protect the marine environment within this area and make it a safe place for fish to recover their populations. You can take action for climate change, and you'll find loads of ideas for things that you can do on our website at greenschoolsireland.org. Of course, we all know that we have to reduce, reuse and recycle. So this means if you don't need something, don't use it, waste less, and try and cut down on the amount of plastic that you use. And cleanups. If you have an opportunity, why not carry out a quick beach or street clean in your area? So this brings us to the end of this Ocean Wonders video all about rays. I hope you've enjoyed learning all about the different types of ray and how fascinating they are. Now, there are over 600 species of ray in the world's oceans, and of course I couldn't talk about them all today, but you might like to do a project or find out some more about them. To get you started, here are a few names of different types of ray. Well, there's the spotted eagle ray, the cownose ray, the black diamond stingray, the thornback ray, the devil ray, the blue spotted ribbontail ray, the spiny butterfly ray, the freshwater ray, the sandy ray, the bat ray, the bullnose ray, and the leopard stingray. So that's just a few. I hope you enjoy learning about rays. Thank you for joining me.